Well, good morning and good morning to you. This is a Christmas morning, yay, and you can see there's photographic evidence that we are at La Llorona Park, which is, by the way, pretty nowhere. La Llorona is, in fact, you could read it on the sign there. You can go back and freeze frame that. It's this weird story that hangs around here. Oh, by the way, my name's Mike. This is a short talk at the Rio. How about that, with an old guy? Christmas morning talk, too. How about that? And, I'm not out here by myself. There's, 6 or 7 cars out there. It was kind of nice driving around in town this morning. I got out moving maybe a little after, I think it was after 7, that I finally got going out of the house, And went down to the Village Inn, had a nice breakfast. Really probably a little too much, but one of the reasons I kind of wanted to walk some of that off. I eat too much, it makes me sleepy. So I hope you had a good Christmas day, a good Christmas morning. Unwrap some stuff and have some good times with your folks and family or friends or whoever. Later on today, I'm invited over to a family's house that I've known for decades. I met them in Albuquerque back at a Orthodox Presbyterian church. Very small church, probably 30 people total, counting the kids. And known them, gee whiz, I want to say since '83 or something like that. So their little girls are now mothers themselves. And in fact, some of the oldest of the grandchildren are in college. So, I've seen this family kind of grow up. So it's kind of a nice thing to kind of tag hold of and remember back, like, by golly, I remember when you were just a scooter booter. And it's kind of chilly out here today, but the sun's out. So as soon as you get out of the shade trees, Mike, it'll warm up a little bit. But, I'm kind of wimpy about the cold anyhow. We knew that. Just wanted to think about Christmas some. I scooted through the headlines, breaking news or whatever. I couldn't find anything that was worth looking at. Apparently nothing happened over Christmas, so that's good news. I like that. I was kind of thinking some creep wearing a turban or something like that, whatever those guys wear on their heads, getting zany, and I thought, boy, I hope something like that. So I'm glad nothing like that blew up. This world is just a mean and cruel place a lot of times. Christmas is supposed to be kind of a set aside for that, a time to kind of act like a human being for a little while. And we didn't want to get used to that now. Yeah, here's some walkers out here. Big old dogs. Golly, that wind is kind of brisk. So I was thinking about what Christmas means to me. Frankly, who cares? I like the looks of these guys. Got some smart looking dogs there. Yeah, so that little guy in the back there, boy, he had some bright eyes. And so when you think about Christmas, or when I think about Christmas at least, I often wonder if I'm kind of getting the message. And the thoughts that I was having last night, I went to the evening service, started about 7. And, we did Silent Night and the candle and all that good stuff. But overall, the thing kind of just left me flat. I don't know how to describe it, but it didn't seem to have any grip on me, that's for certain. And I keep harping on this and coming back to it, so maybe this will become one of my thematic touch points that I keep returning to. In the first coming of Jesus, first of all, it was suspected that he was a bastard son, in that Mary had gotten pregnant without a daddy around. And so the whole thing looked suspicious in the first place. Then there were travelers on the road, almost flat broke. And they got to go do this thing, or else the Romans are going to whack them. And so they're tooting along there, and nobody even has any room, so they go let them sleep in the barn. This is the way the King of Kings entered this world. So, in other words, there was always a tension in Jesus' ministry, I think, between him and the Zealots, whereby they were looking for military action. They were looking for the greater son of King David, the military genius extraordinaire. I mean, the world had seen by then Alexander and his conquests. Well, the Jews were thinking along those lines, a worldwide empire kind of thing, and just roll back the great powers. Well, that caused a little bit of fracas here and there, I reckon. But the point is that when we think of Christmas, we often don't remember, and maybe on purpose, I don't know. It all becomes about how soft and tender, how the baby who was ever so helpless and vulnerable clung to his mama, as babies do. And I thought, well, yeah, that's true, but the martial aspect of the whole thing still kind of goes unstated or unaddressed in the Christmas story, and I think there's a problem with that. At least if you want to make people kind of make sense of what you're seeing. Just looking around today, there's a few real light them floater clouds up there. I guess those are real. Never can tell these days. You got artificial clouds and stuff. And so I was thinking in terms of the martial aspect, I don't think you'd want a Christmas that featured essentially a military Jesus. But the background of Christmas it's in a darkness. I mean, things were not looking good for the Jews. They were being crushed, and they'd been humiliated as a nation. And, it was just onerous having these Roman overlords. And they'd been overrun. And people wanted action. It's one thing to say, yes, let's spread good cheer and love, but where's the SWAT team? We got to take these guys out. And so that goes unaddressed, as if somehow, by virtue of Christ being meek and mild on his first coming through earth, that becomes the normative feature of any time Christ comes. Oh, no. The prophets saw it from a distance. They might have seen it as one event. They might have seen it as two. We see it obviously now as two, because Christ came and he's coming again. He affirmed it himself. But on this return here now, forget about Alexander. That guy's a runt. Forget about Napoleon. That guy can't keep up. I mean, we're talking about in the face of worldwide corruption and what's coming to be really a worldwide domination through the cyber and technical aspects. There's rules coming up such that the FCC will have sole control of content, kind of like the old Soviet Union. And this is on the books. The poodle and his so-called administration have been cooking this junk up, and if this thing goes through, videotapes like this one may not be allowed, verboten as it were. And so we're looking at some weird times coming, with all the darkness and all the garbage and the chaos and the wars and the needless deaths and the poisonings and all of the junk the Faucis of this world can cobble together. At some point, we need a SWAT team. We need a destruction from on high to halt this dead and forever in its tracks. That it moves never again, that evil ceases. And this is an ambition of the heart. But see, it's linked with Christmas, but nobody will say it. It's part of the Messiah and his coming, but nobody wants to remember it. Why? They're afraid. You know, it is wise to fear God, but you have to also have the wisdom to admit that you fear God, because everyone fears God. That's what's driving this whole thing, is that at the bottom of it, there's so much that's unsaid around Christmas. There's so much kind of loaded silence and intention, but never said. And at the bottom of it, it's like, hey, what hope do we have? Yeah, sure, we can give each other gifts and stuff, and we can smile and we can put on our shiny clothes, but we can't make ourselves right. We can't make anything right, really. Look at these big old crows. Now, you can hear them today. Listen. I don't know what they're talking about, but crows are some pretty smart birds. And kind of interesting to watch. When I was a kid, I used to be able to make a pretty good crow noise, but it would kind of hurt my throat. And frankly, I forgot how to do it. But anyway, getting back to reality for a moment. Just sitting here having Christmas thoughts this morning, and I thought, you know, this is a day set aside, and it's nice to have a holiday. But tomorrow will be back to the grind, and back to the stupidity, and back to the corruption, and back to the lies. And this so-called administration we have is criminal, and these people belong in federal prison, at the very least. And at any rate, that ain't going to happen now, is it? So it's just an opinion. But when you have millions and millions of people with the same opinion, things can get dicey. So we're asking to be peaceful because we know that the one who makes war is so dreadful that no creature could withstand him, even have a whisper of a chance. In and out slugfest, are you kidding? And so slugfest is coming. That's the Christmas story, at least in part, and that's what makes it relevant to our world, I think. People are crying out, you know, when is this madness going to end? When does the insanity stop? It stops when he arrives, and not a moment sooner. So find you a place to get out by yourself. Maybe you can pray a little bit, think, just walk, have a good time, but get by yourself for a little while. Talk to your father. Tell him what's really hurting your heart, or what you carried with you. And his Christmas present to you, I believe, is his presence. He is so warm and kind and generous, and he really is the loving and his loving one, and his compassion is forever. Yes, that's true. And it's also true, don't you even think about crossing him, you're going to lose. So Merry Christmas from southern New Mexico along the currently dry Rio Grande. I'll give you a parting shot of the river as it surges southward. Now we're upstream of the sewage plant, so you're not even going to see the bogus little river that goes on for about a mile. That's down south that way, about a mile from here. Yep, there you see it, the mighty Rio. And so down in Texas, I mean, they used to call, you know, kind of, a slander, I guess you call it. It was a racist term. Wetbacks. Why? Because they swam across the Rio illegally. Now they're in Texas. Now they're in New Mexico. Well, we just got drybacks, that's all. And so have you a very Merry Christmas, and do good to somebody, especially somebody that can't do anything for you. It'll help you remember something along the way. So adios and adios for today. Welcome to Christmas 2023, where the reality is he wins big time, slam dunk.